I've been sharing my story on here for a while, and some of you might remember my earlier posts where I opened up about the struggles I was dealing with in my relationship. This one's going to be a long one though, because a lot has happened since then, and I just need to get it all out. I ended up deleting my previous account after my husband found out I had been posting. I thought I could express myself anonymously, share some of my feelings without it impacting my life, but when he came across my posts, everything changed. He was furious. And from that moment, things took a darker turn. When he found out, it wasn't just anger, it was a complete transformation in how he treated me. He started gaslighting me, telling me I didn't have any original thoughts and that I was being manipulated by strangers online. He twisted every little thing, making me question my own reality, and slowly, I felt myself becoming more isolated from everyone and everything. I've been with him since I was 18. That means we've been together for 10 years now. 8 of those years we were dating, and for the last 2, we've been married. We've been through so much together, but now, looking back, I can't believe I didn't notice the warning signs sooner. We lost our virginity to each other, or at least, that's how it was for me. He had already been with other people, but for me, he was my first. I thought that bond would mean something, that it would keep us connected, and that we'd always have each other's backs no matter what came our way. But over the years, I came to realize just how naive I had been. He's the kind of guy who's brilliant at lying, manipulating, gaslighting, and hiding the truth. He would flat out deny everything, even when I had evidence right in front of me. He doesn't have any boundaries, no moral compass, and no integrity. I used to think he was my safe space, my rock, but he's the one who's been breaking me down, little by little. Throughout our relationship, I've stumbled across a lot of red flags, things I found on his phone that made me question his actions. Random texts from women, conversations that were anything but innocent, explicit photos, even searches for prostitutes and shady massage parlors. Each time, I confronted him. And every single time, he covered it up, telling me it wasn't his fault. He'd blame it on his friends, or say he was just curious and didn't mean anything by it. Like a fool, I believed him each time. He would swear up and down that he wasn't lying, that nothing like this would ever happen again. I trusted him because, at the time, I couldn't imagine that someone I loved so much could be deceiving me like this. But the most recent incident? That was the final straw. I was going through his phone again, driven by this gut feeling that something wasn't right. Because honestly, it's the only way I can find out what's going on, since he refuses to have any honest conversations with me. I discovered that he had gone to Pattaya, even though we had explicitly agreed he wouldn't go there. He lied to my face, telling me he hadn't been, but when I confronted him, I found out he had actually visited Pattaya Walking Street during a solo trip to Thailand while I was away in another country for an exam. When I started questioning him about it, he denied everything. He didn't even mention Pattaya, not even once. He swore that nothing happened in Thailand, but my instincts were screaming that something was off. I kept pressing him. I begged him for the truth. I told him I had proof, and that I was going to show him what I knew. After a week of me not backing down, he finally admitted that he had gotten a massage with a hand job and that he had touched the masseuse's breasts. He said that was all that happened. At first, I didn't believe him. Something didn't add up. I kept questioning him, trying to get more details, but he stuck to his story, insisting he had told me everything. Then I found contact numbers in his phone for pimps who supplied prostitutes, along with their rates and pictures of the women they offered. When I confronted him with this, he claimed he had just contacted them to get pictures of the women to masturbate to. Nothing more, he said. He swore up and down that I had no proof, that nothing beyond that had happened. He told me I couldn't force him to admit something that wasn't true. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he told me that no matter how much I tried, I couldn't break him because he had already told me everything he needed to say, and there was nothing more to confess. He swore he had never had sex with anyone else, and that I was the only one he was attracted to. At this point, I couldn't understand why he needed to contact pimps if it was really just about the pictures. I asked him why he couldn't just search for them online, like anyone else. He said that online pictures weren't the same, they weren't real women, and that's why it didn't have the same effect. After another week of pleading, crying, feeling more anxious than I ever have in my life, I pressed him again. I asked him why he only contacted pimps in cities and countries he'd actually visited. If it was just about the pictures, why not contact pimps in places he'd never been? That's when he finally admitted the truth. He had been sleeping with prostitutes for years. Both before and after our marriage. In both our home country and abroad. Once I knew that, it became clear that this had been going on since the very beginning. Sometimes it was just a massage, other times it was full-blown sex. There was even one time when he paid a prostitute to stay in his hotel room for 2 hours so he could sleep with her twice. He tried to justify it all by saying that he always used protection, that he had a high sex drive, and that he always felt guilty afterward. He claimed he had been trying to stop for years. But the drip-feeding of information didn't stop there. For the next 2 weeks, I kept begging him for the truth, anything that would help me understand. Meanwhile, while he was in Thailand, he kept telling me how much he missed me, how depressed he was being alone. But I wasn't buying it anymore. When it comes to me, he's incredibly controlling and insecure. I feel like I can't even breathe without his permission. I can't get a massage from a man without him losing his mind, yet he's always getting massages from women. There was one time when I went to a club by myself while visiting another country. He made such a big deal about it. He started blackmailing me, telling me that if I was going to be his wife, I was never allowed to go to a club again. He even contacted my family to tell them how inconsiderate I was being, saying I only cared about drinking and clubbing, and that I didn't care enough to respond to him. He's also been physically and emotionally abusive throughout our relationship. And if anything, it only escalated after we got married. He's slapped me across the face, sometimes multiple times in a row. He's pushed me, twisted my arms, thrown me on the bed forcefully, pulled my hair. He's done so many things I can't even count. There have been times when he physically blocked the door, restrained me, or grabbed me and threw me on the bed when I tried to leave. He's even stopped me from packing my things. I have pictures on my phone that show the bruises he left on me. On top of all that, he's been emotionally and financially abusive, manipulating me in every way possible. After each episode, he'd apologize, promising it would never happen again. But then, he would turn it around and blame me, saying that I was verbally abusive in my anger after he messed up. And through all of this, he would still tell me that he loved me more than anything in this world. He would put on such a good act in front of my family that even they believed he loved me deeply and that I was the one with the issues. They'd say the same thing, that I was the one who had the problems. He also confessed that his family, his parents, his aunts, had been teaching him how to treat his wife in a way that would keep her in her place. They told him that he was doing so much for me, but that I wasn't reciprocating, and that this behavior would set the tone for our entire life together. They made him believe that it was his duty to control me, and he would fight with me over it, accusing me of not spending enough time with his family. At this point I was done. I was ready to leave him. But then, he started apologizing again. He begged me not to give up on him, promising that something had shifted inside him. He claimed he realized how much he had hurt me, and that he wanted to change. He said he would tell me everything when the time was right, that he had changed after I went to the club, and that the emotional turmoil he felt made him realize what I must have been going through. He swore that he would fix everything and become the best husband anyone could have. He said he'd give me access to his phone, to his live location, and that he would do anything to regain my trust. I don't even know why I'm writing this now. Maybe a part of me still believes he'll change, that somehow, he'll become the man I thought he was all those years ago. But honestly, I feel completely shattered, heartbroken, words can't even begin to describe it. I gave him the best 10 years of my life, and now I can't believe that the man I've been with all these years has been doing this to me. I always thought men who paid for sex were the lowest of the low, and I never imagined he was capable of something like this. I had no idea I didn't know him at all. I feel like an idiot, like I've been living in a fog. He fooled me so easily. Now, I feel completely defeated, stuck, and I don't see a way out. I just need to hear something, anything.